You're watching PEGRI TV, Rhode Island's public access channel.
Salam. My name is Sheikh Abu Hakim Abdullah, President Chairman of Al-Masjid Sharia Allah, AMSA, a non-profit religious organization operating in the state of Rhode Island, USA. I've been doing this for some years now, running this Dawah program. And I see nothing else to do but this. I really see a need for this program. I see a very urgent need for programs like this. I don't know what you see. I can't imagine what you see. But I see a need for this kind of program. I see a need also for religious instructions, talking about Quran and Hadiths. But I really think the Quran and Hadith should be given together. The Hadith is very important to us, but there's brothers and sisters that's blocking the Hadith. You know, castor oil is very good for people. Olive oil, all that stuff is very good for people. But people have a tendency to hide what is good and accept what is bad for them. And the hadiths are very important because the Quran by itself is open for it's open to be misused. It's plain in a lot of ways and understandable. But it doesn't speak as blunt and straight as the Prophet Muhammad's hadith. It has room in it, the Quran has room in it when it's explained to be deliberately misinterpreted by others, especially the smart ones that know how to juggle words. Now, let's take, for instance, something that we all argue about all the time, the veil. Allah said in the beginning to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, to hide the Islam from the people of Mecca. But they wouldn't understand and they would kill you. And that they tried to do. When they really got to see what the Quran was doing. When they really seen from 2 or 3 people growing to 40, 50. So they started doing things to blow all the poor Muslims. So the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ sent them to Abyssinia, which is Africa. Ethiopia. And then he started sending out riders, to see if there's another place that they could go. Who would accept them? And the laws that came down to him in Mecca in the beginning was all the laws that will keep them covered up, hidden from, keep Islam more or less hidden underneath the table from the tribes. Because they had a sense of what this thing was about. So God, Allah, told him in his mind, and another place, a dress code for the women. Because at that time, the people of Mecca was running around the cupboard, the house of Adam, the house of Adam and Ibrahim built. They was running around there naked, some of them. People had no clothes on, a lot of them. Whorism and prostitution and all that was rapid. They were burying babies underneath the sand and all that kind of stuff. People had a girl baby, they literally walked out the house, down the street to where the sand was at, and buried the baby right there in public, like it was garbage. So Allah told the sisters to wear longer garments, to wear them up to their wrists like that. You see, like that there. And to cover their necks like that. And keep their head covered. And longer skirts down to the ankles. Now, let's jump now to when he left there and went to Medina. when the people of Medina accept him as being a righteous prophet. A different code came down. The right to defend yourself came down. Before it was on them, that they couldn't defend themselves. A lot of them want them to get killed up. So be peaceful. Then the clothing law came about. When it said to the women, Bismillah, excuse me, cover yourselves. Take your garments and put over your breasts. Cover yourselves. Don't jiggle your bracelets. Don't shake your feet for their bells would hear. Your ankle bracelets would make noise. And speak from behind the veil. That was said to him. Now, that was taken in one way, and then it was taken in everything by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his wives and his family and all them and the cousins and nephews and his nieces and all that kind of stuff. It was taken full. And Aisha, may Allah honor her, turned around and lifted up her dress away from the men, took her knife, and cut a piece of her undergarments off. And she turned to him, the Prophet Muhammad, and she put this up to her face like so. And he literally turned around to her and said, yes, that is it. And all through the hadiths, that is mentioned. That is mentioned and accepted in the hadiths by a lot of different so-called sects. Members of the so-called 72 sects. So I just want you to understand that today women are dressing and people are acting on behalf of under the laws that was in Mecca in the beginning of the Islam, and disregarding the laws that came down in Medina, which was the Sharia. Because there was no Sharia, open Sharia in Mecca at that time. There wasn't even any that much congregational salat. So I told you that to let you hear how the so-called scholars is turned around and letting the women and those other people use that Medina statement and staying out the hadiths. Where the hadiths and the Quran was both written in hadiths, during the time of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's life. Many of them. Many of the hadiths was written at that time, of his 63 years. And then, later on, they were transferred into English and Arabic by the founders of the Hadith today. Not today, but during the 50, 60 years with the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam passed away. You got Bukhari, Muslim, and some more hadiths. Bukhari and Muslim are ranked as the highest hadiths, the truest hadiths. And they were all bona and acknowledged by his companions. Bismillah. All the sons and grandsons of the parents that was there. And out of the 300 and something thousand hadiths, Bukhari threw away 200 and something thousand hadiths and sifted through the other hadiths. Those that did not have verification on it by someone or some people, he stated that. And he did it that way. He put them in the book that way. So I feel that the hadiths should be together with the Quran as the dictionaries to the Quran. Because all it speaks of is the laws that the Quran has in it also. But it says around and put them in more of an understandable way. And it leaves no room for error. You see, there's things in the Quran that make statements that the tone separates different things, not the word itself. Wherein in the hadith, the tone does not control a word. Other words, like I said, some words you can say them loud and they change the power and their meaning. That's not in the hadith, but it's in the Quran. And it's so easy for brothers and sisters to get away with this stuff that they're doing. Because even zakat, the word zakat, there's two meanings for zakat. One is called sadiqat and one is called zakat. It means paying a tax, a debt, amount of money out of the money that you have or earned. Not only money, horses, farms, dogs, cats, food, everything. It's not just, zakat is not just on your money, it's on everything you own. .2% of your earnings and your owners, what you own. else it'd be nothing. It won't have no teeth in it. It won't have no bite. So I wanted you to hear that from me, where you be able to make up your mind on a lot of stuff you're doing that is actually contrary to the book, contrary to Islam. A lot of stuff that you're doing is open disbelief or open rejection, I'll put it that way, open rejection of Allah's laws and what Allah has laid down. And it's being accepted as all right. I'm not accepting it that way. A lot of people do accept it that way. It's all right. We cannot water down Islam and expect it to be strong. You see, so we have to go ahead and do what we have to do. You know, so the hadith should be read along with the Quran. And it's very important to have that. This is why our brothers turned around and put together the 40 hadiths. It's important to know them. You see, the hadiths has got the amount of times you whip somebody in it for stealing or whatever. The hadiths got what is a murder? What do you do if you catch a homosexual? In the hadiths and the Quran, you cannot, you should not, and cannot, and should not kill a homosexual or two homosexuals on the get-go. I'll say it that way, on the just hey, you're a homosexual. Take him out in the field, cut his head off, hang him up in the tree, whatever. You cannot do that. Because there's a method to how to deal with that. And today, you can go into the computer, and you can see where as many brothers and sisters have had their head taken off from the beginning. Where Allah said, if you find two people committing that sin, in the act of that sin, separate them and confine them to their homes. For the rest of their life, unless some law comes about that Allah has forgiven them. And if you forgive them and they commit it again, then one of them must perish. So it's not the first time you had the right to kill him. It's the second time. But yet today, they're doing it on that. Then they're also convicting people on the hearsay of one female, which is another violation. The law says 2 females or more must testify against one person for a crime, or one brother. For every brother, there's 2 got to be female. I mean, for every brother, what is equal to that one brother is 2 females testifying the same thing. And I hear people talking about, so the other day, I heard a brother talking about the money that is given in the will for women is not as high as the money given in the will to men. One of the reasons that's like that is because the man is the protector of the household and the supporter of the household. So he needs twice as much money than the woman that is sitting back in the household paying nothing but her time. You see what I'm saying to you? It's very important to study what you read and use your logic and reasoning when you read it. If you don't, you're going to get trapped up. Another thing, there is no type of suicide that is accepted in Islam. You cannot become a human bomb and run in some place, because that human bomb is committing suicide. He knows that he's going to die, and he's killing himself the minute he pulls the string. So that's suicide. You cannot do that in Islam. And brothers do that. You see? This is how this book can be misconstrued by our own selves. So I feel that this should be read together, the Hadith and the Quran. I feel that you should turn around and read the Quran, go down to the footnotes, and then read the Hadiths. Because the Hadiths got the same thing in it, but the only thing more clearer. It has not only to do it, but the amount to how you do it, what you do it for, when do you not do it. You see? All that's in the Hadiths. So I'm putting that to you, let you hear that. And I hope you understand that.
No.